Okay. Uh, Very good morning to everyone. In our previous class, we were discussing upon the advantages of the cloud computing. We have looked into the few points. I think up to point number 11, we have discussed it, improved document format compatibility. The next point we will discuss is the easier group collaboration. Now, what actually we mean by easier group collaboration here? Suppose if the users or the organizations makes use of the cloud computing, then the group collaboration or the collaboration between the team members will be easier here. Since all the documents or all the softwares necessity things will be hosted on the cloud side. So anytime the employees of that organization can collect the data, work it upon that itself directly, and the whatever modifications are being done by one particular employee will be made available to the all other employees. So in a real time manner, the data will be available to everyone. So that will help the groups to collaborate very easily and perform their task in a shorter amount of time. The next point, universal access to documents. So again, it's a common terminology. Universal access to document means anywhere, any time, if a person or an employee or a user wants to access the data, they can access to their particular documents. Right here, we are talking about the overall, not with respect to any particular services of the cloud computing. Overall advantages we are talking about. Suppose if the documents are stored or hosted on the any cloud storage, right? Then anywhere if the person is having a internet connectivity, they can just look into the document and store it or access it. Suppose if the documents are stored into on a particular local machine, and suppose if there is a hard drive corruption and all, in such cases what may happen, there could be a chances of losing the data. But unlike in the cloud computing, if the documents are all hosted or stored in a cloud environment, then the document will be available there itself and they can access at any time. The next point, latest version availability. Latest version availability here, we mean to say that suppose if there are any softwares which are being accessed by the users, right? Then the service provider will take care of updating the softwares frequently whenever there is a new update or a new version of that particular software available. As an end user, they no need to install every time. They just need to access that particular software which they are accessing it, and the version of that particular software will be updated by the vendor itself. And most of the time, the vendor will keep on updating their software versions as and when they receive any patches or any new versions to stay with the latest patches or security improvements. They most of the time they will keep on updating the softwares of their particular whatever softwares they have hosted over there. The last point, removes the tether to a specific device. Okay, now what do you mean by this particular point? Can anyone understand? Can anyone explain me? Removes the tether to specific device. What actually mean here by we mean by the tether? Have you ever heard this word anytime? Am I audible, students? If you're not heard, you can just respond no. That is also an answer. No. Okay. Now, tethering means sticking onto a particular computer or particular device. Like, for an example, if I am using the cloud environment today and I no need to stick to my particular laptop or my system. If I am roaming around the world and if I don't have my system with me or my laptop with me, but if I get a chance or to operate any particular computer, ensure that there is an internet connectivity, then I will be able to access all my cloud content without sticking onto a specific device. That gives a lot of flexibility in accessing the content which are being hosted on the cloud side. So we no need to stick to any particular or a specific device to access it. Okay, there is one comment or one message, Wi-Fi hotspot tethering. Okay, so the tethering you might have heard with respect to Wi-Fi tethering also. Their Wi-Fi hotspot tethering means what? It is like you might be getting a Wi-Fi through that particular device, sticking onto that particular device. If that device is not there, then you may not get the access. So that is what a tethering means. Okay, now let's move on to the next point. Are these points understood, students? The advantages, the general advantages of the cloud computing with respect to any of the services. Let's move on to the next point, that is disadvantages. In the disadvantages, the first one we can say that the internet connection. One should require the constant internet connection. Without that, cloud computing is not at all possible. Suppose at a particular moment I want to access and I want to perform certain operations, which is very mandatory to be done as part of my organization. But what if I don't have an internet connection? Then absolutely I cannot perform any of the activities. So that is one of the challenge in accessing the cloud computing when we don't have the internet connection, right? Second is doesn't work well with low speed connections. Even if I have an internet connection, and if that internet connection, the strength is low or it is poor, then working on the cloud computing just becomes a nightmare. We can't perform the activities so fast, so easier. There might be a gaps in updating the data. We may try to access the data, but there might be a connection failures. Data might not get exchanged between my computer or with onto the other side, the cloud computing. So the cloud computing becomes little challenging as well when the internet connection is slow. So can be slow here. The third point, can be slow. This is with respect to the working environment. Like if you just try to think of a group collaboration where one person needs to update the content, and if is unable to update that particular activity, then the overall work done by that particular project team members may become slow. Okay. Then fourth one could be features might be limited. So features might be limited here. The example, let me think of an example, then it will be easy for you. So theoretically, features might be limited in the sense, suppose if there is a particular software and that software has assumed that 100 of features or the functionalities, right? If I install that particular software on my local machine, then I may get all 100 features. But when the same software is hosted on the cloud, then I may not get all those 100 features. I may get certain 95 features or a 90 features. I may not get all 100 features if the same software is on the cloud. The best example for this, I can take off Microsoft Excel, right? We all use Microsoft Excel sheets, right? So the Excel sheets or the spreadsheet which we use on a local machine, if it is installed, we get all the features. But the same thing doesn't hold good if I'm accessing the Excel from the cloud interface. I may miss out to use certain functionalities. Okay, I will just host it and then I will just try to show you the features of that probably next class, because I need to open the clouds environment there and I want to show you there. Okay, now the next one is stored data might not be secure. Now, so far in the advantages, we have covered that it is secure. But sir, you are telling now in the disadvantage that the stored data might not be secure, right? Are they contradicting to each other? At one place in advantages, we say it is a secure, but in disadvantages, we are again telling that it is not secure. How it is? I just want to have a discussion here on this particular point. You can unmute students and put in your thoughts how you can think of. The security is also an advantage. Security is also a disadvantage. How? Anyone?
A vendor might misuse the data.
Vendor might misuse the data. Yes, agree. Valid point. Again, any other points?
So it might be shared to some third party.
It might be shared to third party. Very well. That is what, again, misusing by the vendor. The vendor himself or the vendor himself, they can use the data, misuse the data, or they may bypass that particular data to another third party, right? These are the disadvantages with respect to the data which is stored on the cloud computing. What if assume most of the time, see, all these cloud computing services will be accessed through web browsers, isn't it? So since they are accessed through the web browsers, to access them, we need to have certain credentials like a username and a password. If these username and passwords are leaked, now you say that you are owning you are accessing certain cloud computing and you have a credentials for that, and your friend somehow comes to know that the credentials, then using those particular credentials, now what will happen, your friend may get a chance to look into the data, and there might be a possibility that the data leak might happen. So the data is not, we can say it is secured with respect to the hacking stuffs. The lot of cryptography is involved over there, but on the other side, the based because of the vendor misusing the data or bypassing the data to a third party, there is a chance that the data may be misused by the someone else. The security to the data might not be as appropriate if we save the same data on our local machine. Okay. Now the last disadvantage here I'm putting is, if the cloud loses all our data, then we are gone. We are using, if you think the advantages, everything what we are looking upon, since we don't want to purchase any hardware, we want to save a lot of things on us at our side, so we are allowing to store the cloud to store all the data. But what if the cloud themselves lose the data? Then we don't get any data back, because we never ever saved the data on our side. Everything was stored on the cloud interface itself, but cloud themselves are losing the data, then we can't access that particular data back. Most of the time, the cloud side, they will have an architecture or a technique where they will duplicate the data and store it on other some servers to just not to lose the data. If it happens, then they will just try to get it data from the secondary devices and then again host it for the users. So this is something very rare which can happen. The last 2 points are very rare that may happen. Okay. Now, the next concepts are related to the different types of services which we can get from the cloud. This is a popular diagram. I think this we have seen it in the cybersecurity as well, right? The SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. Can anyone expand these terms? SaaS, SaaS, PaaS.
Software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service.
Yes, very good. Software as a service. So the users, the people who use these type of services are the end users who are only looking for the softwares or the applications, we can say. Whereas the second one, the PaaS, that is platform as a service, these are the type of cloud services which are intended for the developers. When I say developers, the persons who will develop certain softwares or certain applications. So these services are intended for the those particular developers. And the last one, that is infrastructure as a service. Sometimes this infrastructure, we call it also as a hardware as a service, HaaS. Okay, IaaS and HaaS both are same, infrastructure or hardware. So here the hardware as a service or infrastructure as a service, this is intended for the system administrators, wherein the setting up or configuring the computers, what type of operating system they want to use, what type of virtualization technique they want to use in their organization, how much of storage capacity is required, how much of RAM capacity is required, how much of what type of graphics cards are required. So in and out, the developing or configuring particular computer as a system administrator level. Okay, for such things, the such type of services can also be utilized, and we call them to be a hardware as a service or a infrastructure as a service. Okay, so in the upcoming slides, we will just go in detail and try to study. Definitely for point of examination, you are going to get a question either for 5 or 10 marks based upon individual of these services or together. Definitely you will get a question for at least for 5 or 10 marks. Okay, now this is your textbookish diagram which is being given. Again, if you look at here, it just depicts the general cloud architecture. Only change is what? On the right hand side, the service, right? That service provider, the word is mentioned as a SaaS. The service provider offering a SaaS type of an applications of the services. Right now, if you try to think of a platform as a service, then again you get a same diagram, but the word will be a PaaS. So that's why I said you that scoring a good number of marks in cloud computing is easy. Okay, now let us understand these things. These are the some of the applications. Suppose if you are using any of these applications which are given here, that means you are using SaaS applications or a software as a service type of a products and services. Do you use any of these applications listed over here?
Yes,
Gmail,
sir.
yes, you use a
Yes,
Gmail.
sir.
Yes,
What
sir.
is
Yes,
Gmail? It is a cloud hosted
OneDrive.
mailing software. Then there is a Drive, Google Drive. Most of the Google products which you are using, which can be accessed over the internet, and wherein you are storing all your data onto their servers. Okay, all those are called as the software as service products or the services, wherein the cloud computing organization is allowing you to access their services. So what they do, they just host all those softwares. Sometimes we call them to be applications also. They just host their applications on their web infrastructure, and we can just access those through the internet, and we can access them by using the web browsers. Now, whenever I explain here software as a service, just purely think that you are accessing those softwares or the applications through web browsers, not from your Android applications or anything. Okay, think that it is just because we need to go back to the 10 years from here. Probably a 2010 we need to go back. In the 2010 we never had the applications, mobile applications like that, right? So we need to think in that particular area, time frame, and understand the concept. So all these applications we're trying to access it from the web browsers only. Okay, the same, I think these are straightforward. You can read them, these particular points, and self-explanatory. I will probably explain the last couple of points here, right? A single copy of application is provided to users. So what actually we mean by here? Now, suppose if you are using a Gmail, that Gmail application or a software which is hosted on the cloud is exactly same as what you use and what your friend use. Agree with me? Or if you are using a Google Drive, that Google Drive application or the software remains same for n number of computers or n number of users. Why? Because on the cloud side, there is the same application is running for everyone. Single copy of the application will be given to or provided to all the users. Okay. Now, what actually the advantage of that? Advantage is that if there is a new feature or a change in the software or application is happening, then the service provider need not to modify at every place. What he will do or she will do, he will modify the source code at one particular place, and that modification will reflect on all the customers or the users who are accessing it. So maintenance at the service provider becomes easy, and at the same time user will also get, user means all the users will also get the same applications or the modified or the updated applications for their use. Okay. This type of a concept, or accessing the applications or the softwares through the web browsers, we call them to be a software as a service products or the services. Okay, then what are the advantages? Before advantages, let us see the features of them. I will just put it them because most of these points in detail we have discussed in the advantages so far. Okay, now I just request you to read these points, and if you don't understand any of these points, please do ask. On-demand service, the user will access as per their requirement, so they will pay according to what they have accessed it. Platform independent, they no need to rely on a particular platform, and they no need to install any softwares on their system. Okay, runs a single instance of the software since they are accessing from the web browser, so only single instance is accessed or used. Computing resources managed by the vendor, right? Everything, the computing, whatever computation they are trying to do, it will be done on the cloud side itself. The user will not have any idea about that. They no need to bother about that basically. And accessible via web browser or a lightweight client application. Any points you want me to explain in detail, students? Please acknowledge.
No, sir.
No? Okay. Then the advantages, the pros of SaaS. Sorry. Yeah. Again, read through these points. See, that's why the advantages and the disadvantages in detail concepts I have taken before these concepts, so that we will discuss it once in detail, and the same points we can revisit in the every services. Now here, the last point, scalable. What actually we mean by scalable here? Anyone know? Most of the time we use the scalable word. What we mean by scalable? Scalable means here, suppose now I own a particular organization, okay, and there are say 10 employees working under me, and all these 10 employees are accessing the SaaS products from the cloud vendor. Okay, now I have made an agreement with the cloud vendor that, okay, I need 10 credentials or 10 users are there who are going to access the software. Now, scalable here means now suppose after a month I'm hiring few more employees, say 5 more employees, and for all those 5 employees I want to give the access to the cloud infrastructure here, all the cloud softwares here. Then what I can do, I can immediately make an change in the agreement saying that, okay, from this date onwards I want to add 5 more access or 5 more users who will be getting the accesses. Then immediately the cloud infrastructure, what they will do, they will make the facility available. They will provide the 5 more credentials, and those can be used by the my 5 new employees. Okay, now after that, suppose after 2 months, now I am reducing my resources. Okay, there are 15 resources now and 10 resources I'm removing. When I say that I made a decision, then I will communicate with the service provider. Then I will say, I do no longer require 10 resources. You remove them from your access list. Once it is done, then only 5 employees from my organization will have access to the cloud infrastructure. This will also not, this is a scalable with respect to the number of users accessing, not only the number of user accessing, but also the payment related to that. If the number of users increases, I need to pay more. And if I think that I don't require those many employees to get the access, then I can reduce the count, which will in turn give the advantage in saving the money, right? This way, the service as a software provides a lot of scalability with respect to the increase in the access to the cloud services or decreasing the access to the software services. Understood? The disadvantages, right? The same points which we have studied earlier are put here. Browser issues, low internet performance, compliance restrictions. Compliance restrictions means certain type of rules and regulations in accessing those particular softwares. Moving on to the next one, platform as a service. So platform as a service here means, you can see here the diagram, the textbook diagram. It is exactly the same as the one which we have seen in the service, the software as a service, but only difference is that instead of the word SaaS, we have a PaaS here, and PaaS allows. So here platform as a service. Okay, now since it is becoming little one-sided conversation, I want to now hear from your side. Now, what do you think of platform as a service? What type of users use the platform as a services? Anyone? I just discussed no in the couple of previous two slides. Natasha, who uses platform as a service? Who are the proper or intended users?
Developers.
Developers. The developers who are intending to develop certain softwares, right? Then what do you think, what type of the services they would be giving as part of the platform to develop a particular product or a software? What are the things required?
Platform to write the code.
Platform to write the code. Very good. Next. What else? We require platform. We require the designing interface. Suppose if you want to develop it, right? What we require first, design. I think you have studied software engineering, no? Last year, last semester probably. In that software engineering, there are different phases, isn't it? So those all phases, to work upon all those phases, we require some services. All those services are provided as a platform, as a service, like designing the software, developing the software. Developing means typing the code and doing that, then testing the software, right? Once testing is completed, then we want to host that particular application or the software onto the some other company vendors, or we want to develop the software which can be installed on any other computer. End to end, the application development or the software development can be performed. So such type of services, we call it to be a platform as a service. So it includes the application design phase, development phase, testing phase, deployment, and then hosting. What it actually consists of, it consists of the programming language environment. Programming language environment means, so if a designer as a developer, they comes to know that, okay, they require a Java platform, right? So since they required a Java platform means the corresponding JREs and JDKs they require. So those those details will be given, and the vendor will take care of including those things on a particular system. And that particular system, if the user demands that, okay, I require so and so operating system, then that operating system will be made available, and the web browser to access that, and the data which is being stored on the machine. So programming language, the environment, operating system, a web browser, and a database. All together, these things, they make a kind of a services wherein the developer can make use of these and then develop the intended software. Okay. Then again, the who uses this particular pass are these things. frequently used in the development of mobile applications, used to build cross-platform applications. So cross-platform applications means type of a softwares which will execute or which can be made available on a multiple operating systems, different platforms. So such type of softwares can be built using the PaaS. And something called as an application lifecycle management features. Usually we call them to be a DevOps. Guys, have you heard about this DevOps anytime? Have you heard about DevOps anywhere?
Yes, sir.
Do you know anything about what is DevOps means? These are type of a softwares or
Software is used for developing.
softwares used. Go ahead.
For developing
Yeah. So
tools.
DevOps are basically used to control or manage the application lifecycle management functionalities. Application lifecycle management means, suppose whenever a development team is working on developing certain softwares, then comes a picture of all those phases, right? Starting from the problem definition, designing, coding, testing, maintenance, and all these things, right? So in order to handle all these operations, they require certain type of tools which will help us in identifying who has done what type of activity, because these things are hosted on the web or on the service provider. Locally nothing is there, and the users of this wants to know who has done what changes to that. So that type of information should be available there. Then we make use of certain type of a DevOps, right? Those DevOps can be very easily written or developed by using the PaaS products. That is we mean by a DevOps here. I will give you one example for this application lifecycle management, a particular tool in upcoming class. Then again, the next one, that is, if you look into the pros and cons, they also remain same as the general terms. Okay, you can go through these points. They are self-explanatory. The next is infrastructure or the hardware. Now, the first two we can easily understand. The software is available or a platform is made available through the web services. But how can we access the hardware, sir? It is as a hardware as a service. Then how can we access these hardwares or all these infrastructures, okay, as a service from or through the web browser, right? The point of discussion, understanding these things is that we are accessing all those services through the web browsers. Now you may ask, sir, how can we access the hardwares through the web browsers? Simple example here. I will just give you a feel of how it looks. Now, are you able to see this web browser?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is one of the cloud computing organization who provides the infrastructure as a services for the users, called as Nimblebox. Nimblebox AI is an service provider, a company or organization who provides wherein making use of their infrastructure as a product services, we can work on the ML and AI projects. Okay. ML, that is machine learning and artificial intelligence. These projects requires a tremendous amount of the RAM space, okay, the more number of CPU cycles and all, right? We, as an individual, if we can't afford those things, then we need to go for an cloud infrastructure here. Now, this is one interface. Now there are four instances. Four instances means these are the, you can think of, these are four different hardwares or infrastructures available, okay, which I can access. You can see here, for instance, this one. This particular infrastructure consists of 4 cores, 15 GB of RAM, and a graphic card, one NVIDIA graphic card of a 16 GB VRAM, right? And here the since I have not started this project, so it's the storage is not displayed. Whereas on the other side, you can see This is the storage capacity. 15 GB of the storage capacity I have requested, and out of that 4.59 is the available one, and remaining is been already used. How I can access this particular hardware? I can just click on the start project here. Once I click on the start project, it may ask me to select the what type of hardware I want. Do I require a CPU or do I require a GPU? Suppose if I select a CPU, then the CPU of that particular system will start. With respect to that, the machine will run. Right now, here I have already started it and it was running. This is something the system of that. On this page, what you are seeing, this is the infrastructure. On that infrastructure, you can see there are certain softwares access they have given. These are the softwares which I have requested for. In this one, there is a Jupyter editor. This is basically a Jupyter notebook. Okay, there is one software called as a Jupyter notebook, and there is a VS Code, and there is a Jupyter Lab, the environment to execute the codes. Right now, any one of this, if I click, then it is going to navigate onto the other web browsers. Here I can see the Jupyter notebook.